Legacy media are calling their ideological opponents fascists while saying a vote for anyone except for the party they prefer is a vote for fascism. So what is fascism now? They are. Hello there, you awakening wonders. Thanks for joining us on our voyage to truth and freedom. And isn't it hard to interface with truth and freedom when you have media institutions that continually lie to you and control information and generate fear and hatred and tell you that unless you obey their edicts, you're a racist or you're a conspiracy theorist or you're an enemy of the state? Do you notice that these apparently rational spaces that talk to you all kindly and nicely about compassion are advocating for a type of fascism while condemning what they call a different style of fascism? Where is fascism now? I suppose you'd have to say that fascism lies within power. And if fascism is divorced from power, then it's essentially just badges and a hobby. Let's have a look at how the legacy media are turning everybody into fascists these days, ironically, in order to fascistically control everything. Here are the hosts from Morning Joe saying that if Trump gets back into office, he will execute people, put people in jail without trial, all of which is hyperbolic and completely without foundation and given to us just as if it's rational information. But no, it is hysterical.
Just because he hasn't done it yet doesn't mean he won't do it when he gets a chance to do it. And if he is voted into office, then a lot of these people that are talking about literal or figurative or whatever the hell they're saying.
Literal and figurative are literally opposing and contrary ideas. And I suppose what Joe's talking about there is people saying that when Trump uses words like vermin, he's not using them literally, he's using them figuratively. But, you know, God, even in the worst instances, that language is being used figuratively. What I think is being presented here is an old school motif of what fascism looks like and how fascism behaves. There's no question that Trump has the kind of rhetorical bombast and confidence that's recognizable from political leaders in the past. But I would contest that fascism these days is a lot more anodyne and banal. That when you're being controlled these days, it's bureaucratic and digital. Hello, your voice has been silenced. It has been discovered that you are unable to go to the cinema. You cannot visit movie theaters or restaurants anymore. You have been unpersoned. Fascism doesn't look like it used to anymore. It doesn't look like jackboots and badges and high rhetoric and pulpit bashing. It looks curiously rational and is about control. What it looks like, actually, I believe, is this.
You're going to look like idiots because he will get away with, he will imprison, he will execute.
Saying that he's going to execute people is extraordinary. Just a few facts here. Remember that under Barack Obama, the Espionage Act was used more than under any other president. More people were droned than under any other president. And maybe I've missed the episode of Morning Joe where they went, hey, it's a bit disappointing that Joe Biden didn't make Saudi Arabia a pariah, didn't meaningfully control the pharmaceutical industry, is going to continue to build the wall that they condemned Donald Trump for building. Do you see how it creates a kind of berserk state of delirium where almost the rhetoric has to continue to amplify till in the end, even though we've had 4 years of Donald Trump where, I don't know, man, was it that different? He says crazy stuff. He didn't do anything that's much worse or, in my view, much better than what's happening under Joe Biden.
So I feel like not only are they pushing the old school idea of what fascism is, boots on the ground type of fascism, I think they're trying to push that old school 2016 fear-mongering rhetoric that they pushed when Trump first was running. And I honestly don't think it's going to work this time because, again, we already had 4 years of Trump. All the things that they said that Trump was going to do, like I remember this rhetoric back in 2016 where they were like, oh my God, if you let Trump become president, black people are going to be back in chains. They're going to lose all their rights. Women are going to lose all their rights. They're going to be back in the kitchen. And the thing is, like, people might point out the whole like reproduction rights thing. That wasn't pushed under Trump. Like, that was pushed under Biden, by the way. Anywho, people kept saying like, oh, all these horrible things that Trump was going to do when he became president, and none of those things happened. And the one thing that they criticized him for, which was building a wall, which every country has a right to do. Every country has a right to protect their borders, and every country does those things but never get criticized, oddly enough. Biden turned around and continued the wall because we literally have like a mass migration epidemic. And they realized that, and they realized the American people don't like it, and it's going to hurt their vote. So now they're trying to finish the wall that they call Trump over and over again, extremely racist for doing so, because people are not allowed to protect their homes. That's racist. Don't you know that?
So what is this degree of hysteria actually about? Is there an attempt, I would argue that there is, to create only one permissible political pathway? The one of neoliberal, financial industry, military industrial complex funded control.
Whoever he's allowed to imprison, execute, drive from the country. Just look at his past. It's not really hard to read. The only thing that stood between him and the destruction of American democracy was the federal judiciary.
What past? What past are you talking about? What did he do? What did he do that makes you think Trump is going to go and execute people? And Russell Brand brought up the Espionage Act. I believe that is when you imprison journalists. I could be wrong about that. I'll put on the screen if I'm right or wrong, and if I'm wrong, educate me in the comment section below, because I do believe I've heard people talk about how Obama imprisoned journalists, which the journalists themselves seem to not give a fuck about, but is going to accuse Trump of doing something that Obama did, that they still praise Obama to this day. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is real, folks. The hypocrisy is real. Anyway, let's get back into the video.
So in a way, it doesn't matter whether you like Donald Trump or don't like Donald Trump. I know loads of you love Donald Trump. I know some of you don't think Donald Trump is the answer. What I'm asking you to analyse is the level of hysteria and propaganda, the escalating rhetoric. He'll kill people. He'll drive people from the country, as if what's happening now is in any way better. Wars that you didn't agree to, that are expensive to fund, no option, no discussions of ceasefire, increasing decay of American infrastructure. Do you see that none of these things are being discussed? All of these things are being removed from the table while we're invited to look at hysterical, hyperbolic arguments around what constitutes fascism and control. Here, elsewhere on mainstream media, but also on MSNBC, curiously, we're invited to consider what democracy means when we're told that if we vote for anybody other than the Democrat Party, we're voting for fascism.
Stopping it there really quick. So he talked about the ceasefire. I want to put out there that no party is asking for ceasefire. Both the Democrats and the conservatives are not asking for a ceasefire, because again, the politicians benefit from war, and they benefit from aligning with both sides of the war. Basically, they're funding both sides. I also agree with something else Russell Brand said. He didn't say it, but he put out the option that some people don't think Donald Trump is the answer. I also don't think Donald Trump is the answer. I know a lot of Trump supporters and MAGA supporters really believe he is. I think the most that Trump being elected is going to do is make you feel better. Like, give you some glimpses of hope down the line, that the pendulum is swinging, that the culture war is swinging. I don't think relying on any type of politician to change your life significantly is really the way to go. I think you need to be accountable, self-sufficient, responsible for yourself, your family, and your community around you. That's how I feel about it, but you can disagree with me.
Even if you voted for like Cornel West or RFK, listen to the Orwellian switcheroo that takes place during this piece of legacy media reporting.
The progressive activist Cornel West is staying strong with his run as an independent. Jill Stein, whom you'll remember from 2016, announced her candidacy earlier this week under the Green Party. Now, I happen to believe anyone should be able to run for whatever office they choose, as is their American right.
Great, because if you didn't believe that, that would make you a fascist.
And in some cases, our responsibility. But we are living in perilous times right now.
But under these circumstances, now look at this, they're starting to withdraw the basic idea of democracy. Remember, we're talking about Cornel West, and I haven't heard of the other person, but we're talking about independent candidates significantly.
When it comes to this presidential race and this set of candidates, what you're really voting for or about is democracy. And anything that gives Donald Trump a better shot at winning the presidency might just be a vote against democracy.
The reason I believe that's so cynical and insidious is because the news institutions, the legacy media themselves, understand that the population is sick and tired of the Democrat Party, is sick and tired of political institutions, doesn't trust the media anymore, feel bewildered, disoriented, and ready to vote for independent candidates because they know, well, this doesn't really work, this doesn't really work. Oh, here are these new political figures offering political solutions that aren't tied to the same financial and institutional institutional interests that are always able to co-opt and control both political parties. Maybe I'll consider voting for one of them. So the legacy media duly does the bidding of the establishment. You might think you're doing the right thing by voting for Cornel West, an intellectual, a high-minded figure who cares about nothing but ideals, equality, and bringing people together. But you'd be voting for Trump. What they've made is a calculated gamble that their audience will like Cornel West and won't like Trump. And so to direct them back to wrangle them back to Joe Biden, or in the event that someone else with a nicer haircut can be found, who that person, Gavin Newsom, I suppose, that you will vote for them. Do you see that the function of the legacy media is to prevent you independently thinking? It's to foreclose on hope itself. Normally in a democracy, you'd vote for the person you like, but that's pointless now. Vote for the person that we like. That is more fascistic than anything Donald Trump did or said. Donald Trump could be criticized from any number of angles, I'm sure. And I think that any figure who's existing within these institutions is going to be limited in the ability to improve your life, your community, your interests, your fuel bills, your concerns about wars, because of just the way the world is and the way these systems are. But the legacy media is perpetuating and amplifying the agenda of the powerful by telling you live on TV that democracy doesn't work anymore. And there's no point in voting for anyone except for who they tell you to vote for. That's what creates, I think, the apathy and despair that leads you just to sort of slump and think, well, God, how am I going to get through this? Prozac, fentanyl, ending my own life?
Yes, because it's called demoralization. He said something a little bit earlier. He says, foreclosing on hope, because the legacy media runs on fear, fear-mongering. Fear drives and controls people. So you better vote how we want, or the scary fascist people are going to get you and execute you. Like, it's always driven by fear and demoralization. You know what I mean? And it's really sad. And I don't think that the Democrats, the legacy media, are the only ones, honestly, making the argument to consolidate all your votes to one person, voting for whatever the Democratic Party is, because a lot of Republicans have the same argument, or a lot of the MAGA Trump supporters have the same argument. If you spread out your votes too thin, then it's going to hurt the chances of their guy that they want to win. So just sort of consolidate all your votes to Trump. You know, yeah, Vivek's great, and yeah, Ron DeSantis great, but if we have too many Republican candidates, it's going to hurt the right? So the left and the legacy media is not the only ones who have that argument, because people do say voting for an independent party or the Libertarian Party is just basically throwing your vote away. But if we always think like that, then we'll always be stuck at this two-party system, which I do think is harmful to America and to democracy. People aren't black and white. People aren't right or left. People are usually in the middle. So having multiple parties, I think, is actually better for the country. But whatever. I can see what they're doing now to even Vivek, where the mainstream media is attacking him almost in the same level they were attacking Trump, because I think they do see that Vivek has the Trump sort of, shark killer kind of way as he goes after people, but he has a bit more charm and charisma, and he's younger than Trump. So I think that the fear of this Vivek guy can not only get the Trump supporters, but they can get the independents, and he might be able to get the classical liberals or the classical Democrats or the moderates or the undecideds. So let's demonize him now so we can get that vote back consolidated to where we want it to be, or point it in the direction of the candidate we want to get voted in. Anyway, let's continue.
Or elsewhere, massive conflagrations and riots and protests and despair that might be caused by anti-police riots, or might be caused by January 6th riots, or might be caused by anti-migration riots in Dublin. Everywhere, people are feeling despair because they can't trust their institutions and they don't trust the media. And we're right not to trust them, because they're liars, and you can watch them doing the bidding of the powerful in real time. They've got no interest in you. They've got no interest in democracy. At the beginning of the pandemic, they amplify the interest of the powerful. At the beginning of the Ukraine war, amplify the interest of the powerful. Any election cycle, amplify the interest of the powerful. In our country, a COVID inquiry, it will be muted and neutered and will just lead to, like the post-2008 financial crash inquiries. Oh, we don't know what went wrong. Someone must have dropped something or spilled something, because no one's culpable for these massive crises that hurt ordinary people, but somehow seem to benefit the most powerful interests in the world. In order to prevent those dynamics ever changing, i.e. the emergence of independent media, the emergence of independent political figures, they have to keep you right on track, right on the rails, bolted down, hypnotized and obedient. Popular populism is a response to neoliberal globalism. They know that, and they have to prevent it from rising. Because things are in decline, nostalgia is more attractive than their terrifying visions of the future. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and chat? Remember.
Alright, that's it, guys. That was Russell Brand. I agree with one of the last things he said is like the mainstream media, the legacy media does the bidding of the powerful, is because that's where a lot of these reporters and anchors come from. That's the world a lot of these journalists come from. There was a time where the journalists came from working class families, and so they spoke for working class citizens. They were people of the people. But now a lot of journalists come from the upper class echelons, bourgeoisies of the world, and they come the progressive intellectuals. They come from that world. They don't understand the working man's plight anymore. And when I say man, I don't mean balls and dick, I mean people, okay? They don't understand your plight anymore. The working class, the Midwesterns of America, the truck drivers and the farmers and stuff like that. And a matter of fact, they look down on you. They think you're stupid and uneducated and backwards and behind in the times. And that's why a lot of times they're in this weird bubble where they don't understand that most people can't relate to them. I think I saw a video of Vivek talking about the whole trans thing, and the reporter or the journalist or the anchorman who was talking to him saying like, well, you're dividing the country on this issues because half the country doesn't believe that 5-year-olds should be able to pick their gender. That is not half the country. That is a small minority, and most of them live in Los Angeles, California. Most of the country thinks this is crazy rhetoric, even if they're too scared to speak up about it. But because a lot of these people don't live in your world, they're so isolated, they don't understand they're in a bubble, and they understand that most people can't relate to you, and you can't relate to most people. And speaking of that, most politicians can't relate to you either, unfortunately, because a lot of them come from worlds that you and I and most people will never see and never know. Anywho, let me know what you guys think of that Russell Brand video. Put all your opinions in your comments in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell to get some notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. You can donate. It really does help me keep me on this platform. And you guys have a beautiful, wonderful fucking day. Bye. I don't know how I kiss my mic and then I do this. Bye!
Legacy media are calling their ideological opponents fascists while saying a vote for anyone except for the party they prefer is a vote for fascism. So what is fascism now?